rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. You know, I have, it's been a little while, and I got to give props and shout outs to some people tonight. Mainly just because of the fact that, you know, it's been a little bit since I've gone through the rounds. But I definitely want to point out Buddy Weiser. And that's because Buddy has been around for quite some time, and he has contributed a lot to this show. Whether it is suggestions on programming, whether it is a bunch of backgrounds, whether it is, I mean, there's just so much. All of the questions, well, not all of them, but many of the questions of the week, so on and so forth. He has contributed so much to this show that I wanted to give him a shout out, and so we're gonna give him a congratulations kind of thing here. Yeah, pet of the week. Can't forget pet of the week. The pledge. You know, like I said, a lot of the programming he has suggested, made recommendations, and so on and so forth. So definitely have to call him out for that, for sure. And actually, what I should do is I should do the celebration, not the. I should do this. Oh, yeah, that only works on. That's interesting. I wonder why that didn't showed off. Anyway, all right. Well, none of that. Enough of that. But yeah, so Buddy Weiser, shout out to you, sir, for all of the things that you have done to increase this show. Not only that, but he also went around in the very beginning and actually went around and advocated for the show when I was just a wee little pup in the, not saying that I'm a very big dog now, but running around and in the just a wee little pup in the podcasting world. He actually, I can attribute to him, honestly, if the vast majority of the marketing of this show, and getting a lot of the people here. He did a lot of effort and everything else, and so I've got to give credit where credit is due. Buddy Weiser has been doing a lot for this show, and he continues to do so even to this day for it. So there you go. So big shout out to Buddy Weiser. All right, folks, speaking of that, let's get on to the Pledge of Allegiance. G, I don't think I've seen Ms. T or G. I haven't seen either one of them yet, but G is up for the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand or remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with G as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, G, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. You would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program. All you need to do is record yourself performing or reciting the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and either attach it to an email address or share it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will, of course, get you into the rotation order. I'm looking for number 20. I have 19. I need number 20. I'm going to keep pushing it until I get number 20. I got to get 20. 20. Anybody give me 20 now? Come on. All right. Go ahead and do that. Let's get over to tonight's headline sponsor, which is theflagshirt.com. Now, they have a special flag, or a special shirt, I should say, right now on sale. It only comes out right before the memorialization of 9/11. Okay? So, this is a special shirt. It only comes out once a year. You need to get over to theflagshirt.com and get this fantastic shirt. It is the United We Stand shirt, and it has a image. I can't even really describe it. It's just so fabulous. It's got an eagle in there. It's got the red, white, and blue in there. It's got the Twin Tower lights when they had it as part of the memorial. The Twin Tower lights that go up into the sky. They've got all of that, and it says United We Stand. It is for 9/11. It's the Never Forget United We Stand shirt. You got to go and check it out, and you should probably order one. And by the way, while you're there, check out all of their men's, women's, made in the USA, kids, all the accessories that are all decked out in the red, white, and blue. And if you order $75 or more, you will get free shipping from them. But I know not everybody wants $75 worth of stuff. I get it. It's fine. I understand. And that's why I'm going to help you out. If you go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, that's flagshirt.americanperspective.online, you'll be presented with a coupon code. You can grab that coupon code, copy and paste it into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com, and you will be receiving $5 off your order from American Perspective. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. You'll be presented with a coupon code. Copy and paste that into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com. And you will get $5 off your order. Bam asks, will the shirt come in time for 9/11? I'm not exactly sure if it will, but if you order, I would order today. If you're planning on doing it, order tonight and see if, hopefully they will be able to get it into the mail. They're usually pretty quick about stuff. And it comes out of Florida. So, in the Florida area. So, hopefully it'll get to you in time. I know I've ordered and had shirts show up within, 4 days. So, and I'm completely on the opposite side of the country from them. So, anyway, you can give it a shot. Hopefully it'll come in time for 9/11. But, yeah, go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right. Oh, goodness. Well, journalists, for the longest time, they kind of held themselves up as being the, what do you call it? The, okay, Bonnie, I'll check on that. Yeah, you should have let me know, but I'll check on that. Anyway, like I was saying, journalists used to have like this journalistic integrity. They were all about, and they're still being shown in like Hollywood and everything else. They're still being shown as, the journalist is always the pure, the person who is pure and, doesn't fake anything, always checks their sources, verify. That's what they go by because, journalistic integrity is what's there. And they keep, Hollywood keeps making these people. I mean, Mrs. Whiskey and I were watching a show, and this journalist, she wanted to always verify her sources and everything else before the story would go to print and all on, and, just all that kind of stuff. And, well, let's just say the last several years, I don't even know how far back they go, but the last several years have been really not anything like journalistic integrity anymore. There is no journalistic integrity. Not anymore. And even, I mean, you want proof? Here, I'll give it to you. A reporter went ahead and staged a photo in Washington, D.C. to create a story. So Jennifer Bendery, she reports on Washington politics, Congress, and the White House. Now, granted, she reports for the Huffington Post, so the Huffington Post is a very left-leaning organization. I'm just telling you right now. But all of that being said, she is also a lefty propagandist, apparently. And, well, this is the photo that got staged. So, she had apparently two women who were dressed up as the handmaids from The Handmaid's Tale, I guess is the show. I don't know. I don't watch it. I just know that, you know, that was Alyssa Milano. She ran around. She ran around in that same outfit, trying to say that women were not being seen. Although I'm trying to understand and comprehend how the logic would sit if you have an entire political organization on the left that keeps trying to say that men can be in women's spaces and that men, they totally accept men, you know, abolishing women's sports achievements, and yet they say that women are being erased. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Being erased by the Republican Party. Let's just put it that way. I haven't quite figured out how they you know, balance or you know, balance that logic. I can't even think. But anyway, so she reportedly took two of these people and put them up next to the National Guard, who are in the Union Station. Thankfully, one of the National Guardsmen saw it and decided to smile and wave. So he basically just, yeah, he ruined the shot. Anyway, she posted this photo on her X account, and she basically said, quote, "A D.C. resident shared this photo she took at Union Station yesterday. Looks like a scene from The Handmaid's Tale, but no, it's just another day of Trump's militarization of the D.C. right now." Yeah, okay. Anyway, she was trying, of course, to, you know, talk about the awful suppression of women in Trump's theocratic America. No, Trump is actually on the opposite side of that, folks. Well, leftists can't meme anyway, which, you know, this, of course, this photo is a meme as it is. Yeah. Trump is hardly the one pushing that kind of stuff. He is trying to protect women. That's just what it is. Anyway, well, what's really kind of interesting, though, is that after she put it out there, so many people jumped on it. And one in particular I thought was kind of interesting. There was one, I don't know if it's in here, and let me see if I can find it. Yeah, let's see. No, I can't find it. But anyway, there was an image of the Handmaid's Tale women in one side of the picture, and then the other side showed women who are in full burqa gear, saying, why does the left try to create these photos when there are places on this planet that actually live it? Trying to demonstrate that America is far from this kind of scenario. But again, I mean, the leftists, this is what they do. They have to make crap up in order to try and show how bad how bad the situation is. But anyway, whatever. Oh, these people, they're just trying so damn hard. They're just trying so damn hard. Anyway. All right. So Just the News found some more internal memos from the Biden White House. And these internal memos that were obtained show President Joe Biden's aides. They actually believed at the beginning of his administration that he had an obligation to personally sign official presidential actions. Now, you recall I was sitting here and I was talking about the fact that, you know, the auto pen and its use, first of all, it's never really been questioned in court. And it does have historical connections all the way back to, at as far back as we know, to Thomas Jefferson. But the standard that was set by Thomas Jefferson was that it was only used for personal correspondence, that it wasn't, you know, he used the precursor to the auto pen, but it was only for like personal correspondence and personal memos, that he still signed with his own hand any kind of laws that were created or anything that was of a significant importance. And so apparently his aides believed at the beginning that, you know, the president should actually personally sign official presidential actions. And that seems to be, you know, relatively the case all the way through up until about the time that I think it was Gerald Ford's administration when they finally admitted the fact that there was an auto pen being utilized within the White House. And it wasn't until Barack Obama signed legislation via phone utilizing the auto pen. But now, of course, the use of the auto pen is being questioned. And the memos themselves, these particular memos themselves, were gathered as a part of a sweeping review by the Trump White House into Biden's use of auto pen signatures for official business. Now, so far, the inquiry is actually questioning, and I don't know if they've really found much evidence other than the fact that the people that were in charge of the auto pen didn't actually get their directives directly from the president. They got it essentially through his inner sanctum circle, his staff members. That's what we know so far. But the questions have been asked about whether or not the former president actually attended these 4 meetings late in his term dedicated to making clemency decisions, which is signing the pardons. Those clemency decisions included preemptive pardons for Biden family members, as well as commutations for many federal death row sentences. Now, here's the thing. As we all know, some handwriting experts have analyzed the differences in all the signatures. And from what they can tell, the only one that seems to have been actually hand-signed by the president when it comes to the pardons was the one for his son, Hunter. There's no records of Biden actually attending these meetings. So that is according to the National Archives and Records Administration. They told the White House counsel's office that we did not find specific meeting notes that clearly mention or note that the president was even present at any of the 4 meetings. The documents also added that President Biden's decision on memo on commuting federal death row sentences is also unmarked, and that NARA cannot find a version indicating President Biden's approval either. So, yeah. Now, keep in mind that the Pew Research Center has reported that Biden granted more acts of clemency than any previous chief executive on record, and noted that overall Biden had granted 4,245 acts of clemency during his 4-year tenure in the White House. Now, keep in mind, like I said, policy, the general policy, administrative policy, was to use, I'm sorry. White House investigation has uncovered an early memo that shows, according to this document, that day one, the administrative policy was to use an original hand signature for pardons, but that was abandoned in Biden's final year in office. Which brings the question, why would they need to abandon it? So, within 1 month of Biden taking office, this memo drafted by White House Staff Secretary Jess Hertz disseminated that memo outlining the official policies that would govern whether certain presidential actions would require handwritten signature from the new president or would be eligible for auto pen. Now, that February 2021 memo states unequivocally that senior staff would recommend the president personally sign pardon letters with an original hand signature, according to a copy of the document that was provided to Just the News. Staff Secretary wrote that the determination was based on the precedents established during the Obama-Biden administration. Now, I'm basically saying that precedent goes a lot farther back than that. In fact, you might even go so far as to say there is a question as to whether or not the constitutionality of the auto pen being used to sign the legal documents such as legislation into law and pardoning and any of that kind of stuff could definitely be called out in a court of law, realistically. But anyway, the records show that draft memo was distributed to Chief of Staff Ron Klain, Deputy Chief of Staff Jen O'Malley Dillon, Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Bruce Reed, the Director of White House Oval Operations Annie Tomasini. However, there's no record of any kind of final version of the memorandum in the National Archives. So there was a draft one that's run around, but not that. Now, there's more documents that show, by the way, that Biden, in his final year, has a lack of briefing records and contemporaneous meeting notes. And that also raises the questions about whether Biden was actually being sufficiently briefed on the decisions in front of him, and whether or not he was ultimately making the decisions at all. In a June 2025 statement amid public scrutiny of his pardons, Biden, of course, declared, "I made the decisions about the pardons, executive orders, legislations, and proclamations. Any suggestion that I didn't is ridiculous and false." However, a draft memorandum circulated by Biden's own White House counsel's office in February of 2024, describing the general pattern for obtaining approval for clemency actions, appears to contradict that assertion. The document shows that by the president's last year in office, he was increasingly relying on none other than Vice President Harris's assessment rather than his own in the approval process. The lawyer's memo reads, "Note, given the president's schedule, it can often take days or weeks for the president to review or approve the clemency package. The chief of staff's office has been helpful in getting the paper in front of him for his review. He previously asked White House counsel to discuss the candidates with him, although in this last round, the vice president's approval was sufficient to obtain his approval." Yeah. The Trump White House concluded that this memo shows the former president was effectively outsourcing clemency decisions to Harris during that final year. Yeah. Is it possible? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Anyway, so, yeah, there were 4 meetings in December of 2024 and January of 2025 during which President Biden was said to have given verbal approval for these wide-ranging clemency actions, except for the fact that despite retroactive emails detailing Biden's presence at the 4 meetings, which allegedly took place on December 5th, December 11th, January 11th, and January 19th, the National Archives possess no contemporaneous staff notes from any meeting attendees that could confirm that the former president was actually present or gave any kind of verbal approval. Yeah. They also show, many of the memos and stuff also show that Biden's actual interaction with AutoPen managers became less and less frequent. In other words, they started getting their marching orders from people in between them. They didn't get them directly from the president. This is gonna be interesting. So, Oversight Chairman James Comer believes his probe has shown, so far, that senior staff have failed to prove the former president actually knew what it was that he was signing and that the evidence could be used to challenge some of Biden's pardons or executive orders. Yep, I agree. They should. Okay. Let's do this real quick. All right. If you haven't already, make sure that you download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to the content you want. Once you've got it, search for my channel, American Perspective, and hit the green follow button. That way you'll get a notification every time that I go live. No missed shows, no extra steps. You can grab it right now using the link in the description or pinned in the live chat or on the screen, right? Whoops, right over here. I keep going the wrong way with this, but there you go. There's the QR code to go and grab it. It's right there on the screen. Download it to your phone and you're ready to go. And if you prefer watching on the big screen, Rumble is available on all major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for Rumble. And then, of course, make sure you follow the channel and then become part of the action. That's right. Download the Rumble app today. You can take me on the go with you. I can be on your mobile device. You can watch me on the TV at home and then watch me on the go if you happen to be out and about, bouncing around, doing the things that you would normally do. So go and do that. Grab the Rumble app today. All right. So the level of stupidity of the left is starting to actually even, well, I won't say starting because those of us in the know actually already know about everything, but they're definitely becoming more and more bold with their declarations of idiocy. I mean, we saw Tim Kaine last night talking about how rights do not come from God, that they come from government. Which, by the way, ironically, I tend to listen to Mark Levin's shows the next day. So when Mark Levin does a show at night, I usually listen to it the next morning through, just the audio portion of the show. And Mark Levin's show last night was about Tim Kaine, was about the Judeo-Christian roots of our country, and you really should go and check it out. But yeah, it's really kind of interesting to see that I wasn't even paying attention to him. It's not like I'm trying to follow him or anything in terms of topics, but that was obviously a hot enough topic for him and for me that the two of us, we spoke about it at the same time. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, so here is a Arizona Democrat representative And of course, all these Democrat representatives, they all seem to, they want to support illegal aliens and they want to represent criminals and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, she took a question, and it looks like she's out in front of, I don't know, maybe on Capitol Hill or whatever. But she took a question. You can't really hear the question, so I'm not going to play the question, but you can hear her answer. And so I want you to listen to what she says in her answer, and I'll explain something on the backside after this.
So I didn't realize this was such a controversy until the right-wing media started attacking me for using the word. So I Googled the word constituent. The definition of constituent is somebody who is part of a community. Doesn't matter what their legal status is. If somebody is an asylum seeker, if somebody has a green card, if somebody is a U.S. citizen, if somebody lives in the community, I represent them. Constituent does not mean voter. I don't care if none of these individuals can vote for me. I don't give a shit. I care about making sure that the United States government, with our taxpayer dollars, is treating human beings with dignity and respect. So yes.
Okay. Sorry about it being quiet. I was trying to figure out how to get it to go up a little bit more. So, but anyway, she basically says that illegals are her constituents. And she Googled the word constituent. Well, here, let me show you something. Here's the word constituent, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary. A constituent, the first definition, is a member of a constituency. Okay, so she's right. It is a member of something else. Except there's only one problem here. What is a constituency? I mean, in order to understand what you are a member of, you need to go one step further. And this is why I'm saying these people, they just look at, they're just like, it's a member of the community. No, it's a member of what's known as a constituency. So what's a constituency? Oh my gosh. Take a look. Here it is, right here, black and white. Merriam-Webster, constituencies, or constituency, which is the noun. The first definition, a body of citizens entitled to elect a representative. That sounds like voters to me. So in other words, to be a constituent, you would have to be a member of a group that is a body of citizens entitled to elect a representative. So, yeah, that's like the first definition. That is which for those of you that don't know, who maybe are a little English challenged, that typically is the most common definition of a word that is out there. Now, here's the second common definition. The residents in an electoral district. Gee, that kind of sounds to me a little bit like, again, we're talking voters. And voters need to be American. So, need to be a citizen in most cases, especially for the federal system, which is what she is. She's part of the federal system. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're in a state, and the state decides that, you, as an illegal alien, you can vote, that's all up to you. But as far as the federal vote is concerned, you must be a citizen. Granted, that doesn't happen all the time, as we've pointed out on this program multiple times, that illegal aliens do actually vote. People who are non-citizens have been known to vote. And it would be nice to kind of clean all that up. But still, the point being is, in order to be a constituent, you must be a member of a constituency. A constituency consists of a body of citizens that are entitled, meaning voters, to elect a representative. They also need to be residents in the district to be part of her constituency. A constituency is also considered an electoral district. So again, all of this is pointing out that, yeah, hey, moron, you actually do need to be a voter in order to be a constituent. Yeah. But hey, Dems are going to try, and they're going to bend over backwards. Hey, we care about illegal aliens more than we do Americans. We care about criminals more than we do law-abiding citizens. We care about the mentally ill more than we do the law-abiding citizens of this country who are not mentally ill. That is commonplace across all Democrats. They all think this way. Just as much as Tim Kaine thinks that our rights come from government, that is exactly the kind of philosophy that all Democrats have nowadays. So, again, I just, yeah, she needs to go back to school to understand English. They are just lost. They are all lost. And that's the problem with it is that any leftist, lunatic, moron, any Democrat, any person who votes for Democrats, you guys are all lost. You have lost your way. You've lost your understanding of our government, understanding of our processes, understanding the American way of life, our principles, our values, etc., etc. But you know, it's not just our elected leaders that are in this same vote, or boat, I should say, not vote, but boat. It's also our judges, our justices. You wonder why our justice system is so turned upside down? It's because the people that are working within it are just as stupid. And yes, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, they're a lawyer. They went through 7 years of, law school and all this other. They're incredibly smart individuals. No, they're not. Just because they happen to be highly educated, indoctrinated, does not mean that they are or have any kind of level of intelligence. Common sense, logic, reason, those are all things that add to somebody's intelligence. Just because you can regurgitate things in books doesn't mean that you're necessarily highly intelligent. All of that being said, though, NBC News, I don't know if anybody caught this piece, but NBC News came out with a set of judges. They apparently interviewed 12 federal judges. Of those 12, 10 of them came out and said that the Supreme Court is not defending the judiciary against external criticism. That according to them, the Supreme Court needs to explain its rulings better. And they actually attacked or charged Chief Justice John Roberts with being a little lackluster in terms of defending the judiciary. Now, here's the problem with all of this, of course. Let me read you a little bit from the piece. Federal judges are frustrated with the Supreme Court for increasingly overturning lower court rulings involving the Trump administration with little or no explanation, with some worried that the practice is undermining the judiciary at a sensitive time. Some judges believe the Supreme Court, and in particular Chief Justice John Roberts, could be doing more to defend the integrity of their work as President Donald Trump and his allies harshly criticize those who rule against him, and as violent threats against judges are on the rise. Yeah, I kind of remember somebody, let's see, by the name of Schumer. He's a senator, yelling out on the steps of the Supreme Court that Justice Gorsuch, Justice Kavanaugh, they're going to reap the whirlwind and they're going to pay the price. Yeah. Yeah. Don't think that these violent threats against judges are on the rise. That's a bunch of crap. So apparently, like I said, a dozen federal judges appointed by both Democrat and Republican presidents, according to this writer. Now, keep in mind, remember what we started off the show with, because of the fact that these are all anonymous judges, there's not a single name of these people that have been interviewed. There's not a single name dropped in this piece, period. Okay? Now, according to this piece, which again, this is NBC News, leftist leaning, hello. According to this piece, they say that in rare interviews with NBC News, a dozen federal judges appointed by Democrat and Republican presidents, including Trump, and serving around the country, pointed to a pattern they say has recently emerged. They think is lower court judges are handed contentious cases involving the Trump administration. They painstakingly research the law to reach their rulings. Yeah, I call bullshit on that. When they go against Trump, administration officials and allies criticize the judges in harsh terms. Oh, I'm sorry. When you get shit wrong, people call you out on it, and you call that bad criticism. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then they say that the government appeals to the Supreme Court, with its 6-3 conservative majority. I'm going to be honest with you. That's not a 6-3 conservative majority. It's more of like a 5-4. Sometimes 6-3, but more often a 5-4. Anyway. And they say, and then the Supreme Court in its emergency ruling swiftly rejects the judge's decisions with little or no explanation. Well, that's kind of crap because, yeah, they do actually explain it. You idiots are just not reading them or understanding them or refusing to abide by them. Now, all of this being said, just remember, folks, there is one thing and one thing only. There is only one court in this country that cannot be dismantled. It's known as the Supreme Court. All of the lower courts have been built by and can be removed by Congress. You think I'm lying? I'm not, because I have the proof right here. Right here. As soon as I can find where it says it. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Article 3, Section 1. Wonderful Constitution of the United States. I know, it's kind of hard for me to put this up, but here it is. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. In other words, Congress can not only ordain and establish them, but they can also take them away. They can get rid of them. And this is part of the reason why. The lower court system cannot rule on or block the President of the United States. These federal district judges lack a simple understanding of the Constitution and our constitutionally set up government. See, Congress cannot defer its powers. Congress by itself cannot just automatically anoint a judge and say, hey, by the way, Yeah, you can violate the separation of powers in the Constitution and block anything that the president is doing because we've anointed you with that power. Congress doesn't even have that power. Congress cannot block things that the president does because the president is the executive branch. Congress is the legislative branch. There's a reason why there was a separation of powers. I talked a little bit about it under Federalist 14. It's in there. The idea was to break up all of these things to make it to where not any one individual branch could actually gain a whole bunch of extra power. And see, this is part of the problem that these federal district court judges seem to think that just because it's listed under Article 3, that all of a sudden they have these powers. No, they don't. No, they don't. Even Congress can't write it into a law to say, hey, a federal district judge can issue a universal injunction that applies across all of the United States and can hamper the presidency. Congress doesn't have that power. Period. No matter what you guys may think, no matter what you leftists seem to believe, no, Congress does not have that power. There is only one court that has the power to be able to check both Article 1 and Article 2, meaning the Congress and the presidency, and that is the Supreme Court. Period. End of story. So all these leftist judges who are sitting here trying to make all of these sounds and saying, hey, the Supreme Court's not backing us up. Well, the reason why they're not backing you up is because you are acting unconstitutionally. That's why. So, yeah. How much more kind of explanation do you need? In the most recent ones that I can just recall off the top of my head, the Supreme Court basically said, yeah, we don't think that you have this power to be able to just, block this. So, yeah. Anyway, the judges are talking about, and by the way, too, that they're complaining about the fact that 10 of the 12, they're complaining about the fact that the terse decisions leave lower court judges with little guidance on how to proceed. Yeah, there is guidance. It says, get your ass out of that lane. You are outside of your sandbox. How much more clearer can the Supreme Court make it? One of the judges that was interviewed said of the Supreme Court justices, quote, it's inexcusable. They don't have our backs. Well, I'm sorry, but this isn't like a fraternity. This isn't like a football team. This isn't like a unit in the service. The Supreme Court basically tells you you are outside of your lane. It's time for you to get back in it. And you ignore that. You ignore it. And of course, all 12 judges spoke on the condition that they not be identifiable, some of them because it's considered unwise policy or unwise to publicly criticize the justices who ultimately decide whether to uphold their rulings, and others because of what they called risk of threats. They claim that they're being increasingly targeted, some facing bomb threats, swattings, other harassment. Gee, I seem to recall this thing, when the Dobbs decision was being handled, how, protesters were like walking up and down in front of the judge's personal justices, Supreme Court justices, personal residences, which is illegal under federal law and was not enforced. The U.S. Marshals should have immediately arrested everybody and taken them out of there. That's what they should have done. But they didn't, because the Biden administration probably would have discouraged the entire thing. But anyway, According to the U.S. Marshal Service, which protects the judges, the Marshal Service has reported more than 400 threat investigations this year. And there has been a steady rise of such threats in recent years. Gee, I wonder why. Could it be because of the leftists, the violent leftists that are all over social media and everything else? Yeah, could be. Could be. So, anyway, yeah, these people are just, so there was a judge, that same judge that I just quoted said the Supreme Court justices are behaving inexcusably. Yeah, that particular one has received threats of violence and is now fearful whenever somebody knocks on his door at the home or knocks on their door, because again, we don't know if it's, anyway. So, yeah. Another judge said that the Supreme Court is effectively assisting the Trump administration in undermining the lower courts, leaving district and appeals court judges thrown under the bus. Well, that's because you're stepping out of your own freaking lane. You're stepping out of the lane. It's really simple. All you have to do is understand that you are acting against the Constitution of the United States. If you follow that, you won't be in this kind of trouble, necessarily. You wouldn't be in this kind of scenario. Now, keep in mind that like I said, there were 12 that were interviewed. 10 agreed in this kind of case. 2 apparently didn't. One of them, who was appointed by Barack Obama, said that while the Supreme Court could do more to explain itself, some lower court judges have been out of line in blocking Trump policies. This judge said, certainly there is a strong sense in the judiciary among the judges ruling on these cases that the court is leaving them out to dry. They're partially right to feel the way that they feel, but the whole Trump derangement syndrome is a real issue. As a result, judges are mad at what Trump is doing or the manner he is going about doing things. They are sometimes forgetting to stay in their own lane. And that is exactly what they're talking about. Now, somebody or some people have been saying, hey, the number of emergency requests has gone up, and that is true. They have, because of the fact that these justices are stepping outside of their lanes. But here's the thing, folks. You want to hear where the victories are coming in? Now, they're trying to claim this. They're trying to claim this statistic is because of the fact that it's a conservative court. I am telling you the reason why this statistic is the way that it is because of the fact that Trump is actually acting constitutionally, and that he is being backed up by the Supreme Court because he is acting within the Constitution. Now, here's the case outcomes. I'm showing it on the screen. 17 Trump victories. 2 of them have been losses. 2 had the thing withdrawn. 1 is still pending. There's another one that has been dismissed. More than 70% of cases brought by the administration were decided by this quote-unquote shadow docket, which is the emergency docket. Well, the reason why there's an emergency docket here is because something has occurred that needs immediate attention. For an example, a rogue district judge getting out of his or her lane, getting out of their sandbox. Yeah. So, folks, these justices, these 12 in particular that are sitting here blabbing their mouths to this press, to this leftist press, don't seem to understand. It's not me, it's him kind of philosophy. And no, that actually isn't the case. That isn't the case. Judges need to start paying attention and realizing that the Constitution of the United States exists for a reason. For a reason. Let's see. Yep, okay. So, as we get ready to close out for the night, I want to show you how absolutely absurd these people are, these leftists are. It's not just, I mean, it's going everywhere. It's everywhere. And one of the things is when you talk to a leftist and you actually say, hey, if you're really that disappointed in this country and you really hate this country so bad, why don't you just go someplace else? Well, this leftist, young leftist, was on a program somewhere. It's I'm not quite sure what the program is, but this host, his name is Patrick Bet-David, and he offers this individual a first-class ticket and $20,000 to live in a communist nation. Oh, let's take a listen and see what actually came about.
There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is survival. When you get into communism, the incentive is for the common good.
I love that. I got an offer for you before we move on. If I were to give you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 of spending money.
Name me a communist country.
Would you give up your citizenship to go to that country?
And
Whichever communist country you want to go to.
Yeah,
Cuba, we can give you Venezuela, we give you North Korea, any one of those you want to go to.
Communist countries.
Choose any one of them, I'll give you a one-way ticket, and I'll fund it for you if you want to.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, these people. They this is the thing, is that they say that America is so bad. They say that they hate America. Yet if they're basically handed, hey, I'll give you all of this money. I'll give you everything that you need to go and, go off to another country. Where do you want to go? Take your pick. Here's some of the communist countries that are out here. Here, I'll give it to you at any time. And what do? They basically back off. Because deep down in their minds, they know that America is the best place to be. It's just like all of those leftist lunatic Hollywood folks. Those leftist lunatic Hollywood folks that sit there and talk about, oh yeah, I'm going to leave because Trump got elected. That's why I sit here and say, hey, Ellen DeGeneres, she took off, thank goodness. Rosie O'Donnell, yep, she did. I have a lot of respect for those two in particular because they actually did what they said they were going to do. My only problem is they needed to drop off their passports as they left so they can't come back. They need to renounce their citizenship so they can't come back. There's even I saw the girl from Forrest Gump, the lady that played Jenny. She left because she thinks that America is basically crappy. I won't say what she said. I have respect for those people, at least somewhat, because they're following through with what they say. But these people like this, they don't seem to get it. They don't understand. All they have to do is just follow through with what they say. Go. Get out of here. Anyway, but they won't because they know deep down that they can't go. If they go, that's going to change their point of view completely. So anyway, let's see. I'm kind of reading because I was wondering what those red flags were that this popping up. So anyway, all right. That is it for me for this evening, folks. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And while you are there, signed up and signed in, make sure you search up and signed in. Make sure you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget to hit those thumbs up or thumbs down across all of my platforms. Either thumbs up or thumbs down. Either way. And if you, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.